The Saturday street fair in Riverside buzzed with neon banners and sizzling snack carts when sudden clatter of kennel bars split the cheerful music. A huge German shepherd burst from a delivery van, dark fur bristling and broken chain jangling, panic shining brighter than anger in his amber eyes. Parents grabbed strollers, teens yelped, and grandmothers hid behind lemonade stands while the dogs skidded on glossy flyers for corn dogs. Popcorn buckets rolled under benches, coins clinked on the pavement, and balloons snapped free, climbing skyward faster than the crowd. In that swirling blur, only 10-year-old Amina stood still, her brown ponytail fluttering like a small flag of calm amid the storm of fear. She recalled the lesson her grandpa, once a police dog handler, had drilled into her about reading worried animals. Fear often wears the mask of anger, he had said, tapping his cane so the words would stick. Now that wisdom glowed in her mind while grown-ups tripped over folding chairs to hide. The shepherd's paws slipped on spilled soda, and he barked a sharp warning that echoed off brick storefronts. Yet Amina saw his ears half back and tail slashing sideways, signs of confusion, not pure rage. She could almost hear his heart hammering beneath the shiny tag that clinked against a red collar. The tag meant a family cared, and caring often came with training and a steady hand. A food vendor hurled a sausage toward a trash can, but the greasy missile only made the dog spin faster and snap at the air. Far away, sirens wailed, promising another blast of noise to slice his nerves even thinner. Amina's friends, crouched behind the cotton candy booth, begged her to wait for police help. Instead, she inhaled slow and deep like before a spelling bee final and fixed gentle eyes on the shepherd. She kept her gaze soft, shoulders low, blinking often just like Grandpa taught on the sunny porch. The dog's chest heaved as if the air weighed a ton, and his paws quivered over sticky pavement lined with melted ice cream. Around them, the fair's laughter faded into a hush that felt like one long-held breath by the whole town. In that charged silence, the brave girl took a steady step forward, choosing courage where hundreds chose distance. Just 2 quiet weeks earlier, Ranger, the same German shepherd now causing chaos, had been lounging in a sunny backyard nibbling on rubber toys and dozing under blooming jasmine vines. His family, the Kahns, had adopted him from a rescue center after he passed every obedience test with flying colors. Amina lived next door and often tossed tennis balls over the fence, giggling when he returned them as proudly as a champion. The dog's deep bark once scared her little brother, but she had learned that a warning sound is not the same as a threat. Ranger's world was safe until this morning when a delivery driver forgot to latch the crate door before starting the van. The jolt of the first speed bump popped the latch, and by the time the vehicle stopped at the fair, his nerves were stretched thin. He had never seen so many colors, smelled so many strange spices, or heard such crashing cymbal noises in one place. Each fresh shout mixed with the clang of ring-toss bells and the whoosh of a cotton candy spinner, twisting his sense of safety into tight knots. He tried to retreat deeper into the van, but a box tumbled onto him, and instinct screamed that escape was the only path. Bursting out, he found a sea of running legs and waving hands that seemed to chase him no matter where he turned. The more people cried out, the louder his claws clicked, drawing more startled stares and more sharp cries. Ranger could not know they feared his strength. He only felt the weight of their yelling like heavy thunder all around. His training remained inside him like a small ember, ready to light, but panic kept blowing fresh wind over the flames. What he needed was a calm voice, a clear command, and the smell of trust, things lost among frying oil and perfume. Amina, watching him now, thought of that calm voice and realized she might be the only person able to give it. She pictured the day she fed him scraps of chicken through the fence and how gently he had licked the crumbs from her hand. That memory told her the shepherd who looked like a monster to the crowd with a friend trapped in a storm of sounds. She pressed a hand over her pocket and felt the cinnamon cookie she had saved after lunch, still wrapped in napkin. The humble cookie suddenly seemed as powerful as a golden key that might unlock Ranger's crowded mind and guide him back to peace. With that hope warming her chest, Amina planned her next move, determined to turn panic into trust. Amina crouched low, knees shaking yet firm, and let the cinnamon scent drift from her napkin as gently as a summer breeze. Ranger's ears flicked toward the sweetness, confused but curious, and his growl dropped to a nervous whine. "Easy boy, remember me," she whispered, voice steady like a meadow stream, keeping her words simple and slow. She placed the cookie on the ground and retreated one small step, showing she would not snatch or chase. The dog inched forward, nose twitching, while every bystander held breath as though any gasp might shatter the thin trust forming. Camera phones peeked from behind vendor tents, their red recording dots blinking, but Amina kept her focus locked on soft eye contact and calm breathing. Ranger finally took the cookie, crumbs sticking to his wet muzzle, and his tail gave a single unsure wag. The little girl praised him in the same warm tone she used with a neighbor's kitten. "Good job, friend, you were safe." She saw tension melt from his shoulders the way ice softens under spring sun, and courage rose inside her like a tall candle flame. Another step forward brought her within arm's reach. Still, she asked for permission by opening her palm, rather than grabbing his collar. Ranger licked her fingers, tasting sugar and the salt of her bravery, then nudged his heavy head against her sleeve. Amina stroked the fur between his ears, moving slowly, so every touch spoke peace into his racing heart. She noticed his breathing settle to a steady rhythm, as if each gentle pet smoothed one more wrinkle of fear. Someone whispered for Annette, but she shook her head, signaling silence while keeping Ranger's trust centered. The shepherd sat, muscles coiled yet listening, proof that the ember of training inside him was glowing bright again. Amina slipped a ribbon from her hair and looped it through the cracked chain, forming a makeshift leash bright with pink polka dots. The sight drew a surprised chuckle from a firefighter, breaking the tension like a dropped pebble breaks still water. Ranger heard the soft laugh and, sensing no threat, allowed the ribbon to guide his gaze toward calmer space by the fountain. Together girl and dog walked 5 slow steps, each one cutting the circle of fear wider and replacing it with a ring of hope. By the time they reached the marble fountain, the crowd parted not in panic but in silent admiration, watching bravery reinvent the moment. Officer Malik arrived first, walking with measured steps so the click of his boots would not startle the newly quiet shepherd. He nodded at Amina, recognizing her father in her determined eyes, and lowered his radio volume to a gentle crackle. "You're doing fine," he said softly, letting her lead while he stayed 4 paces back. Ranger sniffed the officer's uniform, catching hints of leather and coffee, yet stayed seated, anchored by the pink ribbon leash. The officer produced a proper lead from his belt and, with Amina's nod, clipped it to the dog's collar in one smooth motion. A wave of relieved applause rippled through the fair, sounding like slow rain on canvas, but Amina raised a finger for quiet so Ranger would not backslide. The applause faded to smiles, and vendors reopened shutters, though eyes still lingered on the unlikely pair by the fountain. Officer Malik checked the collar tag and radioed the number to dispatch, securing a ride home for the runaway hero. Meanwhile, Amina knelt to offer Ranger water in a paper cup, and he lapped gratefully, tongue sloshing like a small paddle. Each sip washed away more fear, leaving room for his loyal nature to surface, bright and steady. Malik asked how she had stayed so calm, and Amina shared Grandpa's lessons, simple words about empathy and steady breathing. The officer repeated the tips into his radio, so other units could use them when meeting frightened animals. A news reporter arrived, microphone ready, but waited at a respectful distance, understanding that the story's heart was still settling. Ranger nudged Amina's elbow, seeking another pat, and she obliged, laughing softly when his tail thumped like a broom on the tiles. The sound drew children back from hiding, their faces peeking with awe rather than fear, eyes wide at the concept of bravery their own age. A little boy offered his half-eaten pretzel. Amina declined politely, explaining that too many treats might upset Ranger's stomach after such a scare. The boy accepted the lesson and ran off to tell his mother the dog was friendly, proof that calm words spread quicker than panic. Nearby, ride operators restarted gentle carousels, filling the air with tinkling organ music that replaced the earlier sirens. As the melody floated over colorful tints, Ranger tilted his head, ears relaxed, and gave a bark that sounded almost like thanks. For a moment, everyone felt the fair had been rewritten, turning from a scene of terror into a classroom about courage, care, and second chances. 10 minutes later, the Khan family arrived, frantic but hopeful, guided by dispatch to the fountain where their beloved Ranger waited. Mrs. Khan dropped to her knees, hugging the shepherd tight as tears streaked glistening lines through her pancake makeup. Ranger whined softly, pressing his head into her arms, the pink ribbon leash wagging like a victory flag between them. Mr. Khan thanked Officer Malik, then lifted Amina high enough for everyone to see the hero behind the calm voice. Cameras flashed, capturing the moment when a child's steady heart outshone flashing lights and grown-up plans. The mayor, who had been judging a pie contest, hurried over with powdered sugar on his suit sleeve and proclaimed a public thank you. He pinned a blue star sticker borrowed from the ticket booth onto Amina's t-shirt and declared it an official badge of bravery. A crowd-favorite band struck up a gentle march, turning the plaza into a spontaneous celebration instead of a crime scene. Vendor after vendor brought treats, but the girl shared them with children who had dropped snacks during the panic, teaching generosity along with courage. Ranger sat beside her, panting happily, enjoying gentle strokes from friendly hands now that fear had left the area. The Khans promised Amina weekend visits, knowing the bond she held with their dog was rare and worth tending. Grandpa arrived last, cane tapping, eyes shining with pride that needed no words. He saluted her with 2 fingers and told Ranger, "You couldn't have picked a better partner, pal." The shepherd answered with a bark that made reporters laugh and scribble notes about the dog, seeming to understand. Amina finally let herself breathe fully, realizing her knees were still shaky, but her mind felt strong as steel. She spotted her friends emerging from the cotton candy booth, waving half-melted sticks in salute rather than apology. The sight made her grin, and she motioned them closer, eager to share the lesson that kindness speaks louder than fear. The mayor asked the local radio host to replay the story at tomorrow's sunrise so commuters would start the week with hope. Across social media, a short clip of Amina leading Ranger trended with the title, "Brave Little Girl Calms Giant Dog," inspiring messages from faraway towns. As the sun slid lower, painting the sky apricot, the fair resumed, but every smile carried a new respect for courage born in small packages. The next morning the town square bustled again, but this time conversations floated on a breeze of pride instead of gossip. Shopkeepers placed small bowls of water outside their doors to remind everyone that gentleness starts with simple acts. Ranger, now freshly bathed and wearing a reinforced collar, walked beside the Khans as they thanked each vendor who had stayed calm. Children pointed and called him Amina's dog, a title he accepted with a wag as if names no longer mattered, only friendship. At school assembly, the principal shared the story, highlighting how listening, patience, and a cookie changed an entire afternoon. Amina blushed when applause thundered, but she stood tall, knowing her courage grew from lessons any student could learn. She challenged her classmates to practice reading animal signals during the upcoming Pet Care Week, promising Ranger would visit for demonstrations. Grandpa donated a stack of picture charts showing tail positions and ear angles, tools for decoding emotions without words. Science teachers loved the idea, turning it into a project about body language across species, tying bravery to curiosity. The local paper printed a photo of Amina and Ranger under the headline "Fear" met its match in a cookie and a smile. Letters poured in from parents who said the tale helped their kids overcome dread of dogs, thunder, or even math tests. The mayor arranged a small plaque near the fountain, describing the day Riverside learned that courage is contagious. Tourists paused to read the story, some leaving treats at the base, creating an unofficial kindness station. When Ranger visited weeks later, he sniffed the plaque, then lay at Amina's feet, relaxed even amid weekend crowds. His calm presence reminded everyone that loud moments can be softened by steady hearts willing to step forward. The rescue center used the story to train volunteers, teaching that patience and familiarity can save more animals. Amina wrote her own report titled "Courage in Cotton Candy Colors," earning the top grade and a request to present at District Fair. She ended her talk with simple advice: if you meet fear, look for the frightened heart inside and speak to that first. Ranger barked softly at the final bell, as though adding his signature, and students laughed, promising to remember. And so Riverside carried on, brighter and kinder than before, proving a single brave step can change how an entire town walks. Months later, spring painted Riverside Park with tulips bright as crayons, and a banner announced the first Pet Kindness Fair. Amina, now class ambassador, ran a booth titled "Speak Calmly, Act Bravely," displaying cards of Ranger's past fear beside his current grin. Ranger sat proudly on a mat, wearing a blue vest reading "Community Helper," ears perked, tail sweeping slow, figure eights on the grass. Kids queued to practice gentle greetings, offering fists to sniff while parents filmed the ritual that built trust instead of tension. Grandpa watched from a folding chair, cane across his knees, nodding each time a shy child found courage to stroke Ranger's shoulder. Officer Malik showed safe leash moves, reminding everyone that clear plans prevent fear, and he praised Amina for leading with calm. The mayor unveiled a bronze statue of a girl and dog facing each other with calm eyes, capturing the instant panic turned to peace. Applause rolled like soft thunder, and Amina blushed but waved, knowing the statue honored every choice of empathy. Mrs. Khan passed cinnamon cookies shaped like paw prints, their scent weaving through the fair and making Ranger sneeze happily. Bakers pledged cookie profits to rescue centers, proving sweet ideas grow bigger when shared. A news drone buzzed overhead, streaming live, Yet Ranger ignored it, trusting the crowd because trust had become habit. A science teacher showed charts of heart rates proving pets and people calm faster when kindness comes first. Teens painted murals of animals and humans in bright loops, adding the words "Courage connects us" in glitter paint. Visitors from nearby towns signed pledge boards, vowing to learn animal signals and teach younger siblings. Amina's little brother, once afraid of barks, proudly recited each ear and tail sign, earning cheers from classmates. Sunset poured gold across the river, and the statue caught the light, casting a shared shadow stretching toward Main Street. Grandpa whispered that shadows show how far bravery can reach when one person steps forward. Amina placed her pink ribbon, now framed in glass, at the statue's base so future kids could see the tiny tool that began all. Ranger lay beside it, sighing contentedly, knowing the ribbon had led him home and would lead others after him. As streetlights blinked on, the crowd lingered, speaking softly and walking slowly. Proof Riverside had learned to move without running from fear.